The Jill and Stacy Show with Jacob Saltzman.
Although we are getting the opportunity to speak on behalf of Frisk, the 20 of us do so many amazing things. If you are not well known on your Frisk in your building, please get the chance to do so. They do so much great work every single day. A lot of it is behind the scenes, and yeah, I really thank you guys for having us speak with you guys today. So a couple of things that I want to talk about. My name is Jalen Clark. I'm the Youth Service Coordinator at Conner Middle School. This is my third year here at Conner Middle School, sixth year in the district, actually. I was at Central Office before I got to Conner Middle School. A couple of the programs that I've done so far, our center was a brand new center, so I had to figure out what were some fun things that the kids would like to do. And kind of my approach with all the programs that I do is, when I was in middle school, what would I enjoy to do? And that seems to have worked thus far. So one of the first programs, as you see on the form that I gave you guys, is Teen Cuisine. Teen Cuisine is phenomenal. We partnered with the Boone County Co-op Extension and brought them in to teach our kids about healthy eating habits. It goes a little bit further than that to talk to them about how to read nutrition labels, how to read recipes, and also proper kitchen and knife skills. A lot of these kids love that because, one, they get to eat. And then I get calls from parents that are saying, hey, thank you so much because my kid came home and cooked dinner for us tonight, and I can't tell you how great that was because they didn't have to do anything. So it's always fun for us to hear those kind of stories as kids, go out and about. A lot of the kids get to try new items that they've never seen before. Even some of the smaller things like quesadillas. I had a girl last year who told me she had never had a quesadilla before. She got to make her own quesadilla, and I think that might be her new favorite food, is what she said to me. It seems to be in her lunchbox every single day, so I'm going to go with that. Plus, on top of that, I get to be a nicer Gordon Ramsay and kind of try all the food, so it's a great time altogether. But our second program is NBA Math Hoops and MLB STEM. Both of those programs kind of play off each other. NBA Math Hoops was a new program that I found actually while I was sitting at home during the summer one day before I had actually got into the Frisk world. NBA, the National Basketball Association, and MLB both partnered with a program. Most of you guys might be familiar with the board games Hasbro. And also Learn Fresh Academy. They partnered together to create this curriculum piece that ties in both mathematical equations and an NBA board game. And so these kids, they get into this system where they are teaching themselves how to do mathematical equations quickly. Most of them are simplistic mathematical equations, but it gives them the confidence and the skill set to continue to answer these questions over and over and over consistently. And it's always randomized, so it's nothing that's ever going to be the same. And a lot of these kids have tied into that it's a competition as well. So you don't get the boring side of math, as they would say, but they also see this as a way that they can compete against other kids. On top of that, there is an opportunity with this program that is a national scale program that is really my driving force behind it. Every year they take about 25 kids across the entire nation, and now it's global, where they bring all these kids into a local NBA facility and they teach these kids about statistics, and they teach these kids, proper life skills and things like that. And then they play a massive NBA Math Hoops or MLB STEM tournament where these kids get to go against other kids across the globe. So it's a great opportunity. Ever since I started the program, I tell the kids every single year, that's pretty much my goal. Mr. Brady actually helped us create the videos last year, and I'm hopeful that we can do that again this year. So the last program on there is one that is a little bit different than what most people see. It's a trilogy series that we have started called Animes Lit. Animes Lit, literature for short, kind of a tie on words that I thought was pretty clever. If not, I'll go along with it anyways. But Animes Lit, Animes 2 Lit, and Animes Beyond Lit is a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade program that ties in an underserved amount of kids that I see as not fitting in certain areas in their school system. And so I took this as an opportunity to talk to them and share with them the experience that they love to watch and read on a regular basis. So a lot of these kids come into my room after school once or twice a month, depending on which program they're in, and we read different manga series, different anime series, and then we watch and compare and contrast the different stories that we're reading and talk about just different things with Japanese culture and Japanese cuisine. I obviously get to go out and share just different types of things with them. We just recently found a really cool person that actually opened up a new store here on Burlington Pike called Japan Imports, who has also been interested in coming into our school and speaking to these kids and sharing with them the different types of Japanese cuisines and cultures and languages and things like that. So it's been a great opportunity so far. There's a ton of programs that all of us do every single day, but those are the three that I'd like to share with you guys today. Thank you.
This is where they're trying to get them in, and they help connect them to outside resources of the school.
Okay.
So like if they don't have food for the weekend, they'll connect them with like Hope Ministries or Meals on Wheels or other, and then they'll provide them food for the entire weekend for these families.
Really?
He meant meals. Meals on wheels.
What did I say?
Mills?
Meals. Meals on Wheels. She got these glasses on now. She thinks she's so smart she can just call people out their shit.
I just wanted to translate for our audience.
I appreciate that. Kathy Rootman would be proud of you.
So the schools and the Treasury report said that they were sitting on, $93 million just sitting in the bank account. They're still not paying school bus drivers the salaries that they need, essentially. And they've been asking for raises for, 6 months they've been talking about that in the Transportation Committee. Oh, we're going to do something. And then they don't ever bring it up for a vote. So Sully spoke on the fact that they need to pay the bus drivers more, one, to retain the employees that they have, but also to fill the open positions. And then I noticed in the treasurer's report the tab on overtime, and the most overtime was going to the bus drivers and transportation.
Yeah, and it ultimately helps with double runs. So, I have a daughter who rides the school bus, and about every other week her bus will be on a double run. So she has to sit in the school, wait for the bus to come back and get her after they make one run, and then, which then takes teachers, takes resources that are having to do jobs that they're really not paid to do. And so it really does impact more than just the bus drivers. And this goes back to having an HR director who knows nothing about hiring. So he was a school teacher, a vice principal, I believe, and then now he's over our HR. We said this all along. If we just pay the bus drivers more, it will fill the void. We are going to have people. We see businesses do this every day. One that we see here a lot is DHL and Amazon, and then even other warehouses in the area. They always are upping their pay just a little for starting employees. Why? Because they're competing against other people. And it just drives that up. We feel like, for whatever reason, we can keep the pay low, and that we're just going to get those people. It makes no sense.
They're not creating a competitive market for that particular position.
Right.
So, and apparently they're not listening to them. And we've heard in other school board meetings that is the issue. The pay is the issue. So pay them.
Yep.
I don't think it's that hard.
It's not that hard. And then there's this other argument that people from the district office will make. Well, some of these people are retired and they can only make so much money. So if we raise how much we pay them, then they won't be able to be school bus drivers any longer. The interesting thing is you don't have to raise how much you pay them. So those people, they can sign off and say, no, I only want to make the $18 an hour or whatever it is. Keep my pay here so I can keep my job and still get my benefits from other employers or retirement or whatever it is. So there's obviously ways around that.
How does Kenton County and Kimmel County pay?
I know Gallatin County, he said that they did raise the starting pay to keep their bus drivers, and they've had zero issues.
I have several clients that they are having issues finding CDL drivers. but what they're doing is they're just paying them more so they can keep the ones they have, but then also recruit new ones to fill those positions.
Well, what happens if they don't maintain the proper allocations in the school? Like, say there's a fourth grade class that actually has 30 kids to one teacher instead of the 28 to one. What happens?
Yeah, the district is obviously looking at that to make sure their goal is to keep that under. I do understand there are going to be times where our classes, you can't start a new classroom to have 5 kids. And then, so what is better with our money? Do we put 2 or 3 in there to, you're over the cap of what we would say. The hard part is making sure that we have the appropriate allocations to each school for each position. And so we do so many things that are, just out of date when it comes to this. So instead of, we think we need to offer classes that 5 to 10 kids, and then, at Ryle High School, they might have 5 or 10 kids in there. Instead of canceling that class and making that teacher teach something else, we just allow them to continue to teach those classes. And there's things where part-time teachers are traveling from school to school to school because there's
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so, we just have to get creative when it comes to some of these things. It should not be that hard. And allocations it's a difficult thing because you're really allocating for next year before you know enrollment.
Right.
So you could be over allocated one year and then you could be under allocated one year. It depends on if your enrollment's up or down. Depends on people transferring in and out, going from schools to schools. So I get it's not easy, but at the same time, it shouldn't be that hard. And I do feel like we just, once again, we have athletic directors at 4 schools. We like to say we're the third largest school district in the state. We have athletic directors that are part-time, and then they have to teach or be in the classroom or have other duties. That's not heard of at school districts our size.
Right.
They have athletic directors at full-time that have help, and it's things like that. Like, why are we continuing to do these things? So I talked to Kathy Rootman. She's over this. It's interesting. We use a counselor, but we're also using a former Boone County educator's, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a nonprofit that's going to come in and do this group counseling. She said it's mostly for elementary kids, and it's talking about when you have these outbreaks in class, and so you might need some like group therapy on how to deal with other people. What I was told was there would not be any specifics, so it's not like one-on-one counseling, because I ask about privacy, and you're talking about 4th and 5th graders going into group counseling. They're going to go tell all their friends at lunch exactly what Stacy's problems are, and I was told that would not happen. But the interesting thing is, for me, is this group counseling is exactly like social-emotional learning. And so we're now hitting social-emotional learning. When I asked Kathy, is it not the same thing? Her response was, well, I don't know what they're doing on the social-emotional learning side. So we have the left hand not talking to the right hand once again at our district office. And we have social-emotional learning that's supposed to be this end-all be-all for kids' behavior. But now we're saying it's not working, so now we're going to pull them out of group and put them in group counseling. And it's, they're not using the same testing, I guess I should say, or surveying to figure out who needs group counseling in the Panorama survey, which is social-emotional learning. It's 2 separate things. So it could be a teacher that just says, they're having a lot of outbursts, I really need them for group counseling. Well, then your social-emotional learning's not completely working. It's not for everyone, is what you're saying. And so it was just interesting to me that we have these 2 different groups. The group counseling, which Kathy Rootman's over, has no clue how that ties in with social-emotional learning, which to me is just nonsense. So we could be teaching something totally different in group counseling, than our social-emotional learning that we spent thousands of dollars on. And it could be different data that doesn't even match. And Kathy Rootman said, I don't even know what they're doing with that. I don't know if it matches.
And she's over the
She's over the group counseling program, yes. She's over the mental health and all of that.
And she doesn't know.
And she doesn't know.
Wow.
Is it just 4th and 5th grade?
No, it's all elementary.
Oh, all elementary, okay.
Yeah, I just use 4th and 5th grade for the lunch.
What are they saving up for, Jacob?
I don't know. It's a great question. You know, I think part of the problem is we have these ESSER funds that we don't know what to do. We've not really been that smart. You know, I do know statewide that, you know, KDE recommends 10 to 15% of your budget you carry over for a rainy day fund. And I think any good business, that's smart. You know, you should have a percentage you target to carry over in case something happens. We're just seeing larger percentages we're carrying over, more 20, 25%. I think we're probably on track to carry over 25, 30% this year, depending on how the ESSER funds roll out, depending on what they can spend. I think we'll start to see some spending here last minute to make the number go down a little with buses, things like that. So it'll be interesting. This is a question. This is for me a question. If I was a teacher in the classroom, that I would have. How come we have to pay for things that we put in our classroom ourselves, but we have millions of dollars sitting at the district office, and teachers want a raise, and we have money for this.
And bus drivers.
And bus drivers.
So, any news on the Zonar Z-Pass?
No, not yet. Not
We
on my
spent
end.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the funding that they got for COVID, but they're no longer going to get, and it's $28 million.
I started to watch a Kentucky superintendent podcast yesterday with all the superintendents in Kentucky that the KDE puts on. This was actually a topic of conversation. I wasn't able to watch it, so I'm not quite sure what was said, but I know they're trying to figure out how to help schools now with the money, the ESSER funds, and to extend those. Yeah, I mean, we're spending a lot of money. It's 28. Now, that is actually over all of the years that COVID has been going on, is my understanding.
Yeah, because it looks like on the available, that what's still available is just the learning loss, tutoring, and summer programs, and a little bit of professional development, and that's it.
Yeah, those came in waves. So it was like 7 million, 10 million. We got these different grants throughout. It wasn't all at once.
Well, I sure hope they learn their lesson when COVID 2.0 comes around and they want to shut us down again. I hope they've learned their lesson, because all this money is assigned to learning loss.
Yeah.
Like what you did not work. Oh yeah. Let's talk about Turner's vacations we pay for. Is canoodling with the enemy.
What the hell's a Rotary Club anyway?
I don't. You know what's interesting is I wondered that. Like, what the hell do they do in there?
It's like a networking group, isn't it? What's the family membership? We're not paying for that, are we?
Well, this invoice is kind of...
Wonky.
Yeah.
Well, at least we got the add button. Oh, and the lunch monster.
That's $100 a quarter. So we're paying $400 a year for that? Just for the lunches? Jeez. In Hilton Head, of all places.
Must be nice.
It says total cost $296, but that's not really the total cost.
No, so I was explaining this. That's just the cost for that conference. So that's not the cost for hotel,
Flights,
flights,
food.
food, alcohol. I would just say this. One of the things the board keeps saying about Matt and his trips are that he is guaranteed memberships for so many, and that is true. So one, that's the board's responsibility to make sure he is going to ones that are going to help our district, not ones that are going to help his career. The other thing is he's a member of more than what his contract says. Mm-hmm. And so we are spending extra dollars on things we don't have to spend. And now I would argue is, as we come up to board elections in the next six to 8 months, however long that is, I need people to realize they are approving money for him to spend when he has already resigned. And I've talked to several people in the education world at the state level, local level. It does not look bad on us at this point if we don't send him. I was actually told by a very, I would say, successful educator in the last 2 weeks. We are well sought after. People want to come to our district. Superintendents are wanting to move to Boone County. And so don't give me this whole, we have to be very careful because we might not attract superintendents. That has nothing to do with it. That's just not. And so I know several superintendents that are not going to these conferences that are, let's be honest, pushed by the state. KDE is pushing these. We had another, this is a little off topic, we had another organization teaching our math and science teachers. I think they were just focusing on science. And so it had our principals and our lead educators in yesterday with an organization that KDE has paid over, KDE or higher education, which is our government money, has paid over $10 million since in the last 15 years. Think about that. $10 million KDE has pushed out. And so we keep giving KDE money and teachers want to raise. And it's funny, there's money there. But that's who our superintendent continues to use are things that the state is pushing us to use. And it's not who Boone County is.